Hey, it's Calvin for your cryptocurrency chart analysis. It is Monday, February 22nd. It is 5 p.m. In yesterday's video, we talked about Bitcoin and Ether getting some big movement in the morning, and that is exactly what we got. Look at this daily candle. Wow. We fell 17.9% before recovering to merely 5.0% or 5.1% loss. That is an incredible bounce back. Whenever we have a big sell-off like this, we want to look at the size of the bounce. So Fibonacci retracements, bottom to the top, we could see the size of the bounce. Our bounce is it's getting to the 0.236 Fibonacci, and that is well past the halfway point for our bounce. And so when we're looking for a bounce, if we make it to the halfway point and it stays around the halfway point, we can look for an equilibrium to form. If we get past the halfway point, then that dip was probably just a higher low. If it's below the halfway point, then we could probably expect a trend change. I do not see a daily trend change occurring right here. If we look to the 4-hour, ignoring the wick on the bottom, this just looks like a higher low compared to February 18th. We had a low of 50,627, ignoring the bottom of the wick here, because we'll talk about that in a moment. Our low is probably right around that same level. I mean, it's a little bit higher than that. So I'm looking at this next candle here. The low is 51,504. And so this looks like it could function as a daily high or low on a 4-hour, and we still retain our trend. Looking at this wick, it's hard to ignore it in terms of a trend change, but we do see that it was a very short time frame. If someone had their limit buy set for the 20 EMA, they got a very nice buy. They found the very bottom of this change. This was a very quick drop. So if we look at the 5-minute chart, we see whoa. We want to undo that. I'm just going to refresh the page here. On the 5-minute chart, 500. On the 5-minute chart, we see a very nice V-shaped recovery. So this was a very quick drop and a very quick buy up. So if this tells us anything, it tells us that there was a lot of bulls sitting on the sideline waiting to buy that dip. And that's exactly what happened. And so what happened is we just had a snowball rolling down the hill, accumulating. We had people having to cover their positions. We had a lot of people buying the dip, and we saw a nice V-shaped recovery and a 5-minute equilibrium starting to develop, probably better on the 15-minute chart. Yeah, we have a 15-minute equilibrium starting here, and I do see a trend change in the opposite direction. Is the sell-off over? Maybe. In order to determine if the sell-off is over, I am looking to the 4-hour. For the 4-hour, I am looking for three things. I'm looking for the money flow index to be above 50. Right now we're at 31 and we're not turning up quite yet. So that's something to watch for. I'm looking for a bullish crossover on the stochastic. I see that. I'm looking for the RSI to turn up above 50, and we see that. So we have two of the three indicators that I'm using, indicating that we are moving upward. And so we do need to watch out for that MFI. Waiting for all the three things, though, you could lose a lot of ground on the price action. So if you are trying to buy a dip, you might not have time to wait for all three. And so if you don't have all three, you need to buy with stops, close stops, just in case it's going to turn back down. One thing to watch out for is on the daily. Daily, we are looking at a bearish crossover on the stochastic. We see the MFI still heading down, and we see the RSI turning down, about to dip below 70. And so the daily is not looking very good on the indicators. And so that is something to watch out for. On the 4-hour and the lower time frames, we do see some trend changing, and our lower time frames may drag us back up. We've been looking at macro patterns. Previously on Bitcoin, we broke a rising pendant, and then we said we were going to look at a channel. And guess what? we found the bottom of that channel, and now it looks like that's a pretty good turnaround point for us as well. So if I were buying here, I would be buying with my stop right below this channel, because this channel looks to be in support of this change. Maybe even below the 10 EMA. It looks like we've looked for the 10 EMA for support at roughly 1 p.m. there. And so those are just some things to look at. If you look at the Bollinger Bands on the 4-hour, they hardly even flinched. We went from not even the top of the Bollinger Bands to just the bottom. We penetrated them real quick, came back up, and they hardly flinched. Looking to Ether. Ether found the bottom of its channel as well, moving back up. Same stuff that's going on with Bitcoin. I do see Ether moving up a little bit more rapidly. I see the MFI turning up here, whereas remember on the Bitcoin, it's not quite doing that yet. And so Ether might be the lead play here. And so we are moving back up toward the top of the channel. I expect lots of volatility in the 4-hour candles to come, because after a huge sell-off like that, you can expect some high levels of volatility. Looking to some altcoins. I like to look at these altcoins from the perspective of their price in Bitcoin, because it kind of shows you which ones are stronger and which ones are weaker as Bitcoin is falling. And so Bitcoin Cash, ETH, BTC, we could see that it fell with Bitcoin and it's starting to recover, not as quickly. LTC, BTC. This one looks very similar to the Bitcoin chart. XLM, BTC. This one fell, it's recovering a little bit better. And so we had a weird thing happen last night with XLM, and I guess it wasn't weird, but we had a movement on XLM before we saw any movement on, or substantial movement on Bitcoin. Look at this candle here. So we had a massive buy-in right here, a lot of volume right past midnight Eastern time, and that kind of initiated the drop all the way down. And so from the top of that candle, let's see here, where's my price range? So from the top of that to the bottom, we fell 28%, which is more than Bitcoin, but we are recovering that for the most part, and so we are on our way back up. Chainlink fell with Bitcoin, but it's recovering very nicely. Uni fell with Bitcoin. We're actually starting to see a little bit of weakness, or this is let's look at the 4-hour. We're starting to see strength against Bitcoin here. However, very volatile. Look at the size of these candles. And ADA, we're starting to see this is gaining strength on Bitcoin. And then this one, Kusama, KSM, I told you to buy this one yesterday at 225. So if you bought it at 25, we're at 270. We have increased today. I mean, it went up and tested 300, but it's coming back down now. Look at this chart against Bitcoin. So Bitcoin fell, KSM fell, but KSM rebounded very abruptly, and now we see some crazy volatility here. So it fell 15%, and then it moved nearly 45%, and now we are moving, and we dropped another 11%. And so if you want to play KSM in both directions, there's probably a lot of money to be made here. That is something to watch for some good volatility plays. So what am I looking for if I'm buying? Again, I'm looking for a bullish crossover. I'm looking for MFI above 50. I'm looking for RSI above 50 as well on the 4-hour time frame. But I am watching out for the daily on Bitcoin. I'm looking at this bearish stochastic crossover. I'm looking at MFI turning down and RSI turning down. So if you are making trades, trade carefully. Use stops. Have a good day.